if you're about to buy or build your first gaming PC or maybe your new gaming PC, well, here are a few mistakes which you can avoid, and they are based on this build which I've just done, which I'm not happy about. But unfortunately, clients build, so they decide. So I just execute and build the PC. First off, let's talk about pricing. This thing costs $1,500, which is more than the Silence Glam build, which I've had on the channel like 2 weeks ago. And that thing had a Core Ultra 5 overclocked with 7200 MHz RAM and an RTX 4070 Super. This thing has an i5 14400 in basically 2025. We are nearly there, and an RTX 4060. Now, of course, it's a mini ITX build, and mini ITX is expensive, and I love mini ITX. I had an NZXT Mant as a daily driver for 6 years. I think this build could have been made a lot better, and I tried to tell him, but I think I actually made it worse because I told him, like, you need the build to be future-proof, and so he decided to get an 850 watt FSP Dagger power supply to power an i5 and a 4060, which is a lot oversized, and then he decided to get a single 48GB stick of DDR5 because in this way he can add another one down the line. And we also got an expensive case, which, I mean, the case is cool, okay? The Fractal Design Terra looks cool, even though they give you like counted screws. Like, they could give you a few extra screws for the price of this case. It's a cool case, but it's made if you're going with a higher end GPU, I think, and maybe a higher end CPU as well. You could have gotten away with a $50 case, even with a 3D printed mini ITX case like I've done on the channel in the past. There was no need to spend this kind of money. So really, this build is fine. It came out fine, it's working fine. The guy's probably gonna be happy about it, at least I hope. So you may want to tell me, like, what's the problem? Well, the problem is just wasted budget, in my opinion. Now, you may think that's not that big of a deal, and now I would agree with you if it was a very high-end, no-budget build, like, what's the problem spending a bit more? But here, we could have made the PC go pretty much double what it goes right now, simply by spending better our money, because then we went with a budget NVMe drive from Kingston. It's a good one, but it's slow, and we just saved money here and there by going on the older platform. I think getting an i5 4400 in 2024, the end of it, is just a really bad buy. Not because of the issues which Intel have had with the platform, which are all sorted by now, and also the i5s are not as affected as the i9s and the i7s, so it's not too bad if you get an i5, but quite simply because you're getting an end-of-life platform with basically no upgradability, which is not the most efficient one, and if you're going mini ITX, you want an efficient thing. But another thing is also, like, going mini ITX. I think in this case, it wasn't really necessary. Like, if he wanted to do it, he could have done it cheaper, but he also could have just gone micro ATX, because the difference between ITX and micro ATX in cases is not that big. There are some very small micro ATX one which you could get away with, and there you don't need to spend money on SFX power supplies. This power supply was super expensive. It was over $200 because it's a high wattage, very small modular unit from FSP. It's very good, but it's very expensive. Same thing on the cooler. We got an Octa cooler, great, very easy to install, but you could have gotten a lot better of a cooler if you had more space for the price, even though the Noctua is very good. And same thing for the RAM, just get dual channel, please. It's gonna go faster. So key takeaways from this build are: don't go mini ITX, or better said, don't focalize on a certain case or form factor if you don't have to, and try to go with a newer platform, unless you can get an insane deal on the older ones, or if you're buying used, I am the first guy to recommend you go with an older platform, but if you're going brand new, just try to get LGA 1851 or AM5. In this case, we also had the barrier of, like, he didn't want AMD, which I think is pretty strange nowadays, because people seem to not want Intel after all the problems that they had, but this guy didn't want AMD, so we had to go Intel, because of course I proposed to, like, get Ryzen 5 9600X, a lot cheaper, also a 9700X, would be a lot cheaper and similar productivity performance, because this is a work and gaming build hybrid. And also, don't focalize too much on future expandability. Now, I know this is in contrast with what I just said about the latest platform, but what I mean is do something realistic. So overspending this much on the power supply and on the case just for future expandability, and also the single stick RAM thing, are things which I genuinely think are wasted budget. So if you can, just avoid them, and you'll be able to get a similar PC for a lot cheaper. Now, I know a lot of you guys also build computers, so I'd like to hear a few stories from you too, of similar situations, and also let me know if you like this kind of videos where I just give a bit of advice on PC building, showing my day-to-day, instead of more building-oriented videos, so I can maybe integrate it on the channel. And if you like what I'm doing on the channel overall, maybe drop a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again in another video here on YouTube or on my Instagram. Bye bye.